Okay, all right. So, you guys, welcome to my first podcast. It's Levels to This, where I discuss with professionals all about how to elevate their personal brand, cooking, finance. It's all about up leveling and elevating your position. Today, I have the wonderful Jessica Toliuszis. I knew I was going to get that wrong. Jessica Toliuszis, VP of Highline Warren, right? Am I getting
Yes.
it right? Highline
Yep.
Warren.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk all about actually elevating your fashion sense. I met Jessica last year and was totally impressed. First of all, we're Leos. Ha ha ha. Right? If you know Leos. First of all, we're Leos. I'm excited about that. I met her and I was so impressed, not with just her personality. I mean, she's amazing. She's doing big things. You're elevating professionally, but certainly her style of fashion. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She's also my March 1st, my campaign. She's acknowledged in my March 1 campaign for women. So it's presented and included, bringing the table to the table. So she is the first woman that I am celebrating today. Hello, Jessica. Thanks for joining me on my podcast today.
Sharon, thank you so much for having me. I so admire you, and I have really enjoyed becoming friends with you over the past year. And you are certainly someone who elevates everything in every room that you encounter. I think you leave everybody a little bit better than you found them. So thank you for joining my life and elevating my life.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're gonna have a good time here. Quick 20 minutes of your time to talk about elevating fashion. And since it's Women's History Month, how fitting to talk about it from a space where you're in a male-dominated industry. So with Highline Warren, if you're not familiar, it's in the auto care industry, so it's male-dominated. And sometimes it's difficult. I know in different industries, if I talk to any of my senior execs, it's hard to have a fashion sense and still be seen as competent, right? Yeah. As a woman, it's difficult. You can't have sequins in the boardroom, but can you, right? Or can you, right? To make things, to make people realize that you are competent, but you can still be fabulous and fashionable and things like that. And I think societal ideas are changing, but I've seen when I've talked to my senior execs that still black blue suit, sometimes pants, maybe not too much crazy pantyhose, even lipstick can be an issue, and hair color. So I'm going to start with a few questions. Every other question will be kind of a curveball for you. We're here to have a good time and let our audience check out your style, your profession, and understand how to elevate in this space. So my first question to you is, can you describe your style in a phrase?
This was a really hard one. So you said this to me in advance and I thought, oh my gosh, I've never even thought about my style in a particular phrase. But if I were going to, it would probably be professional campy, right? Okay. So if you know anything about camp style, right, it's flamboyant, it's fun, but I like to take a slight professional edge to that. So do I own black suits? I own a million. Do I own blue suits? You betcha. But do they have flower embroidery or hearts embroidery? Absolutely. So if you ask me to show up and you give me a Highline Warren shirt and you say, you need to wear this shirt today, you bet I'm going to wear it. But you can be sure that there will be a necklace, there will be a jacket, there will be a touch of camp, and camp is really, it's flamboyant, it's fun. You can look it up. The Met did an exhibit on it. I think it was 2019 for the Met Gala, but you can look it up. It's like, it's big, it's over the top. And I think that I like to take that, but with a slight professional edge.
I like it. I see your camp, right? I don't know if I can pull off camp. Like I try my best. I do what I do, right? But it is so, I'm telling you, you are my fashion muse. When I see you, when I have to come, so I have the great opportunity to speak Jessica's on the board of an organization that I had an amazing opportunity to speak for you guys in your leadership conference. And the first thing I thought about is, what am I going to wear? Like, I have to elevate my style. Like, I got to come with my A game. And I happened to get sequins pants that Jessica and I laugh about because they stuck together. But I think it is notable for you to say that as VP, vice president, right, as a senior executive within your company, in an automotive company, that it is an ode to you. Like, I want to acknowledge you for being able to set your style apart from other executives, because I'm pretty sure you see like a lot of black and blue suits, right?
Sure.
With no flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that it helps me stand out, right? I am diverse in our industry because about 20% of the women in the automotive aftermarket are women. So we are very much a minority. And there's certainly a time in my life that I wouldn't have shown up as my full self, and that I looked around the room and I dressed for the job I wanted, and I saw the C-suite executives and they were men wearing black and blue suits. And so I think that as I have gotten more comfortable in my role and in my industry, I've tried to show up as my full self. And I think that uniqueness gives me a little bit of an edge, but I definitely dress for the party that I'm going to. So
Nice.
if I'm going to a boardroom, you're not going to see me as flamboyant, but you will definitely see my style. You will see a hot pink scarf. You will see something that I am bringing to the table that shows my element of style and who I am.
And I think that that's important, that you understand the rooms you're in and still not shy away from who you are. That's authenticity at its finest. Okay, so I got a curveball question for you. We talked about, not yet. Sequence is coming. Okay, so you and I talked about favorite fashion designers. That was hard for you. Like, you kind of wrote it, these like shoes.
I was
clothes.
like, shoes.
What is that, right? So I'm gonna ask you, we're thinking fashion, we're thinking clothes. So who has the most elevated style, you think? Alice and Olivia or Veronica Beard?
Well, so the suit that I'm wearing now is Veronica Beard. And I certainly think my style, when I talk about professional camp, it's a perfect mix between the two. I think Veronica Beard, she does beautifully cut jackets, which I really love. But Alice and Olivia, that brand was founded on the professional pant. She makes a pant that I have it in 10 colors. It is wonderful. It is called the Dylan. You should own it in all of its colors. It's a nice wide leg pant. It's exactly what you would see every New York stylist and fashion blogger wearing. They have them in all the colors. So for me, I don't know that I could pick one or the other. I think it's for me, it's a mix between the two. Alice and Olivia also does camp better than anybody else. So they're able to mix that professional pant with like sequins and with feathers.
Yes.
And I'm all for that.
And last night we were at an event, so I had on the Alice Olivia dress, and I happen to like Alice Olivia. It has actually elevated my style because the print, like you said, that bit of camp that you wouldn't have caught me dead in. My friends tease me all the time. Believe it or not, I never wore pink. I know.
Yeah.
I never ever pink flowers, any of that floral prints. It was not my thing. I was kind of like straight and narrow, right?
Yeah.
Alice and Olivia has helped me elevate my brand, and I still feel very professional, but still very like, I'm in the room. Hello, I am here. Right?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, she does that for everybody. I could see you as more of a red. And I grew up as a tomboy. I played every single sport. I played golf, I played basketball, I played soccer. And so I thought, well, if I want to be a CEO, I need to embrace blue and black. And as I've matured and come to find that diversity is actually one of my superpowers, I recognize that it's okay if I show up in hot pink, because when I walk into a store, that is the first thing that I beeline for it, right?
Pink was, my best friend would be like, you just don't know that you like pink. And I'm like, no, I don't like pink. She's like, yeah, you just don't know. And so every time I post and she sees pink, she goes, "Is that pink? Is that pink you have on?" Yes, yes. Okay, so let's get into let's get into another question about elevating. What would be some of my audience members? They dread elevating or the idea of thinking about how to elevate because they don't know how to maneuver in this space. And we talk about fashion. So we're talking about fashion and elevating in the fashion in the professional world.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you this question. What's your least favorite thing about elevating your fashion in a professional setting?
So I have dogs, Sharon, and my dogs are golden retrievers. And if you know anything about dogs, they shed. And so the hardest thing is that the things that I wear inside of my house, I do not wear outside of my house. And the two never met, right? That's really hard, right? I don't want to show up somewhere covered in dog hair. And I hate ironing. Just don't like it. It's not for me. Ironing and vacuuming. Don't like it. So those are hard. Those are the two hardest things.
Man, ironing. So I have a funny ironing story. So my best friend and my husband sometimes compete on my traveling trips. And so this is how my best friend trumps my husband. She goes, "But I iron your clothes." Does he iron your clothes? I'm like, no. It's like, okay, then who do you want to take?
Will she travel with me?
She might. If you got good places, she might.
I went to Paris for a weekend in January just to go vintage shopping.
Oh man. My first time going to Europe was last year. I went to Italy. We went to Italy and we did Venice, Rome, Tuscany, right? I had no idea that it was iron optional. Like you would go to hotels and we stayed at this really 5-star in Venice and they were like, "Yeah, so no, there's no iron here. But if you want dry cleaning, sure." And I'm like, "Well, no, because we got to go to dinner in an hour." Like, no. I was like, "No iron? What in the world?" I have to look, and I'm not an iron person, right? But sure enough, my best friend, handy dandy, she has an iron spray. Of course she does. Does she spray and magic?
This is a trick. I'm writing this down.
So there's a spray. I have to get it here. We're talking about elevated tips for your fashion, right? There's a spray. She put it on the dresses. It was fine. It had little wrinkles. And then you let the steam take out the wrinkles.
Brilliant. I am so excited. I wrote it down. Can't wait to buy it. I definitely have set off the sprinkler alarms in hotels because I put my clothes in the bathroom and then put the shower on as hot as it could possibly get and steam it out. And I have set the alarms off because the room got so hot.
I don't know anything about it because I'm not like yourself. Like that's the worst thing for me is having to iron, right? If we're talking about elevating your look, man, I just want to go wrinkled. I just cotton all day, but that doesn't exist, right? That doesn't exist all the time, right? Okay, so question for you. Elevating fashion, we're talking about elevated. Who would you switch closets with and why?
So I'm going to share two things. So one, Blair Edie from Atlantic Pacific. She has about 2 million followers on Instagram. She comes from a merchandising background. I would trade closets with her in a second. It's bright colors. It's fun. It's fashionable. Everything is flirty and fun and the brands that I love and the things that I admire. And she's just a beautiful human being generally. So she would be the person whose closet I would trade with. But there was a fashion moment recently that it brought me to tears. And I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did watch the Super Bowl.
As long as you watched the halftime show. But when Rihanna came out.
The Rihanna Bowl, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
When she came out in her fashion moment as a pregnant woman in the middle of the Super Bowl, it brought me to tears. In that red ensemble, I just thought, what a moment. And at a certain point, like she put her hand on her stomach and it was like she was there with her child on an elevated platform above this football
Couldn't
field.
do
And
it.
that fashion moment with that giant skirt and piece that she was wearing, I cried. I sat there and just thought, wow. Wow.
I couldn't do it. I'm scared of heights. She
Me
looked
too.
amazing. I kept asking my husband, is she pregnant? Wait,
know.
this thing is wobbling? Like, what's hot? Yeah, no, I would be like, I couldn't sing anything. I'm like, okay, so let's bring it on down. No way.
How did they get
Kudos to
insured
them.
for that? For her and a baby on that platform way up there. It's just amazing. But what a
I
moment.
could sit. Yeah, it was a moment. That's awesome. That's awesome. I like the idea. Let's see. If I could switch closets, well, probably your closet is where I would switch out. We could switch closet. Man, you guys, you have to see her look. And the reason why I admire it so much, again, it is position. You have positioned your brand in this badass space, still very respected, and you still are able to embrace your style, the uniqueness of your style, the florals, the colors, the accessories. All of it is amazing, and you're still very well respected in your industry. I am impressed. I must say that. Okay, so what one piece of, I had this question. Look, I was downstairs having cocktails with the ladies. I even asked them this question. So I'm gonna ask you, what one piece of clothing would you want to have, or if you were deserted on an island?
I think the answer is going to surprise you, because if I'm on a deserted island, first of all, I'm a proponent of sunscreen, so it would be a giant hat. But as far as clothing goes, it would be something really comfy. Right? If I'm stuck on a desert island for the rest of my life, it would be like a Viore sweatsuit or something that was really soft, right? Something soft, something that covers all my skin so I don't have to wear as much sunscreen. So I know that's a boring answer, right? I think that if you ask the question, like, what one piece would you save in a fire? That would have been, it would have been impossible. I may have gone down with the fire. It's hard to say.
Well, okay. See, I was gonna say, well, let's ask you that question. Like, you're going, it's not one you could say, that one. Yeah. One? Which one? No? Your favorite.
It'd be really hard. So I do have this sequin Alice and Olivia skirt that says feminist on it. And Olivia Munn wore it once. And I think it was Olivia Munn. Wow. Olivia Munn or Olivia Wilde. I get the two confused. I'm sorry. But I bought it and I waited for it. They said it was going to go on sale 6 months from now. And I put the date on my calendar and I marked it. And then I bought it. Usually most of what I buy, I try to buy, I think I call it used, but some people might call it vintage or previously loved. But that was one of the things that I bought brand new and I splurged on. I also have some shoes that I have this one pair of shoes and I'm trying to think of who it's by, but they are black and white polka dot heels. And they have this ruffle that goes up about 6 inches from your ankle. And it's, it's like a hard plastic that covers the whole shoe. They are phenomenal. So uncomfortable, can't walk in them all, but they are beautiful.
One thing I would say, I don't even know. You're right. I might have to go down with the clock. Like, I think about the things that I have. I have like a ton of like Angela Scott shoes, as you know, that's like my go-to, right? But then I have boots, and then I even have tennis shoes like Jordans that are like the patent leather Jordans. I'm like, could I replace that? I don't know. I used to have, and I gave them away after I lost weight. I happened to lose weight in my feet. Weird thing.
Yeah, sure.
They were huge. So I had some Christian Louboutin red slip-ons that said love in the front.
Oh, I love that.
And it was like abstract. It gave Andy Warhol kind of feel, right? And I have a picture of them too. And if you put it, so LO is on the one shoe and V is on the other. So if you put them together, it goes love. They were comfortable. I wore them when I trained because they, you can dress them up, you can dress them down. But I gave them away and gave them to a nice home. I didn't even like sell them. I gave them away. But I would have saved those.
I agree. You know, shoes we should do an entire podcast on shoes. I'm thinking about these Manolo Mary Janes that I have that are like patent at the toe and then a beige leather in the back that are beautiful. And then I have some Gucci wedges that have it's like sashes, almost like a scarf with hearts on them that you wrap. Oh my gosh. We'll do a whole podcast on that.
We can do it. Definitely. Yeah. I have to have you come back. Okay. So question number 5, which just nearing the end. How have you elevated your creativity in fashion? So you saw your dress. Let's think, I'll give you even a time period within the last 5 years. How do you think you've elevated your creativity in fashion as a senior executive without being criticized or minimal criticism?
Yeah. You know, well, I really love blazers. I think I've loved blazers since I was a teenager. So I've certainly added to that collection, and I've certainly added more colorful ones. I've certainly added ones that feel like me. Lately, my latest thing that I've been elevating with are scarves.
Oh,
okay. I have just beautiful silk scarves, usually vintage because they're very expensive to begin with. So I love to go on and find some really beautiful ones. I've got this hot pink Dior one that I traveled with today that makes me so happy, and it makes me feel more elevated. Sometimes I see people wearing scarves and I kind of have imposter syndrome. I think, oh my gosh, I could never figure out how to wear it just the way they're wearing it. Yeah, but that is certainly, especially I think in the Zoom culture. So I think I started kind of around 2020 and 2021, really bringing scarves to the table because I was on so many Zoom calls all day long. And what better way to wear pajamas? And we call them our Zoom scarves or our meeting scarves. And I have my little stack here. And if I have to have an important meeting, I whip one out and tie it around my neck and look at me. Because who wears a scarf with pajamas, right? A silk scarf, people think, oh, she must be wearing shoes.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
Right.
Hey, you guys, that's a tip. You need to elevate. If you're on Zoom calls, you need to elevate your lounge wear and just add a scarf.
Silk scarf. Yeah. Nobody wears a silk scarf without shoes is the assumption.
I like it. I like it. And here's the last question. I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but can you give the audience kind of 2 or 3 fashion tips that'll help elevate them for professionals?
Yeah. I talked about it a little bit on stage this week with you, Sharon, right? I told you that one of my friends, we went to the Met exhibit for Comme des Garçons. And when we left, we all sat around the cafe, St. Ambrose Cafe in New York. And my friend opened the menu and she said, you know what really came to light for me? And if you don't know what Comme des Garçons is, it's avant-garde, it's big, it's giant, it's, headpieces and birds.
Yeah, go check it out. Go check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't own any Comme des Garçons. It's almost too over the top for me. So what she said was, I think as women, and for her, she's a Southern woman, she said maybe even more so for Southern women in her case, not saying that generally, but she said, perhaps we spend too much time thinking about being petite and pretty and not enough time about being fashionable and fabulous. That was really important to me, right, Sharon? Because I've been many sizes in my life. I've been a size 0, I've been a size 14, I've been everything in between. And that resonated with me. And I hope that resonates with you and with people in your audience.
Absolutely.
Right. Because
Absolutely.
I think as women, we go through many stages in our lives and we go through many sizes in our lives. And there are times that I have walked into a store and I have thought, where is the black thing? Where's the black thing that's going to make me feel slim and skinny and, not make me poke out in this area or that area? And now I walk into a store and I think, where's the piece of art that I can wear?
Nice. I like
one.
That.
Yeah. I think that's the most important one. I have a couple of others, right? I think it's important that you find 1 or 2 brands that you love. And I think you really invest in those pieces or you find them used or vintage or pre-loved and they mix and match really well. So if you find a couple of designers, whoever that is, maybe that's Old Navy, maybe it's Alice and Olivia, maybe it's Valentine, whatever it is for you, but they'll mix really, really well. So I think that's important. And then I said earlier, showing up for the party that you were invited to, right? So I'm thinking about, and that doesn't mean that you have to be wearing what everybody else is wearing, but you want to feel like you are part of that party.
Yes.
That makes sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense. I get I used to feel I'm newly blonde, right?
Yes.
Within the last 4 months. I like it. I love it. And I get a lot of people who love it, but then you do have people that question you're blonde with red lips and you want to do what? You're talking about implicit bias? Yes, I am. And I know that oftentimes, especially women find it hard to kind of be their authentic selves in their fabulousness, in sharing their femininity and wanting to be able to express themselves. And I know that, as we grow in this society, things are kind of changing, but some mindsets are still kind of stuck. I would offer this tip: do it anyway. If you feel good about it, then do it anyway. And I'm with Jessica, like, find the brands that stick with you, or mix and match. Like, I'll buy new and I'll buy vintage, or I might buy something from Target. You'll never know.
Oh,
if it
absolutely. Yeah.
right. I'll buy something from Target and match it up with YSL, and again, poof, you have an outfit. So I think whatever budget you have, you can still elevate your fashion, right?
Oh, Target has wonderful things. I think Zara has wonderful things. And, I know that there's a lot of thoughts around sustainability and fashion these days. And I think Zara is really working towards that. They recognize the impact that they're having, and they're trying to go to a more sustainable model. So that's a brand that I admire. And I think that they haven't always been perfect, but I think they're like working on it. Right. So I really admire that. And so I think you can find things at whatever your budget. And I love that high-low mix, right? Some of my favorite pieces in my closet are, I just bought this great top from Target a couple weeks ago that I love, right? That I love. Yeah.
I think this is from H&M. I think the Dickie I have on is from H&M, and then you J. Crew, and you kind of mix it up and match it up. So that has been my kind of fashion hack that I've seen in a couple of spaces. So this is great. All right. So any last words before I let you go?
Well, Sharon, I think I told you I really admire you personally and your style, and I so appreciate our friendship, and I really appreciated getting to spend this weekend with you. And I can't wait for the office of Angela Scott to come up with those chunky shoes again, because I need them in a size 39 and 39.
Look, I'm going to tag them to this post so that they can see what you need, so they can listen to what you need. I think I have a little bit of influence on them. So great. All right. Thank you for being here. Thank you for leveling up, and continue to push the envelope as a woman profession, senior executive in this space, making it happen for other women. You are an exemplary example of what it is to level up authentically. So thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks for having me, Sharon. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I'm stopping the recording.